Blessed Wednesday. You are now tuned in to Apply Where Necessary. I am your host, Quay. We made it to another week, so I am grateful and beyond blessed to know that we're here and you're giving me your ear today. Today's affirmation is, I recognize my flaws of yesterday and work diligently to improve myself today. Now, this is a really powerful affirmation. I woke up and I was just feeling really self-full and feeling like I've personally come a long way in these past 3 months, and I'm really grateful to be able to learn myself the way I've been learning myself and throughout this podcast, because as you know, this podcast is really about growth, doing the self-work to really design our lives and our future. So today I was like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? And also, please don't mind the birds. They're chirping this morning. They are outside and we love them for it. Anyways, I've been really, like I said, I woke up last night. I was trying to write out this episode because you guys know I said I try to outline the episode so it could be like a smooth flow, because some of the feedback I got from my best friend was just going in circles sometimes, and I get passionate about something, so I keep repeating it because I feel like repetition allows something to be embedded in your brain. So I kind of take that approach when I'm speaking to people or I'm speaking in general. So I have to outline my episodes. But today we did the outlining this morning, and like I said, I woke up just feeling really self-full. I just feel really beautiful. I feel really radiant. I feel really grateful and just really passionate also about everything that's going on in my life and where I'm about to take my life. Now, if you listen to the last episode, we were talking about designing our lives, and this affirmation kind of is one of the key elements to designing your life, and that's starting with you. So to say I recognize my flaws of yesterday and I work diligently to improve myself today, it's a big statement. It's big because personally, as I was growing up, I was really stubborn, and obviously I learned that behavior from family members, from my parents, or whoever. I learned it. So as we address this affirmation and apply it to our lives and take the first step to design our lives, we have to ask ourselves, who were we? If you've been practicing the exercises throughout this podcast, you've already identified that because you found out the root to you and your problems, or you handled certain problems that you may have had that you didn't know that was affecting you and your lifestyle with that individual. That was the very first episode, was the forgiving episode. Like I said, I forgave my father for leaving us and all the other things I had to deal with my father. I forgave him, and before I recorded the podcast, I had a phone call with him, and I didn't badger him or try to seek answers that I know he could not give to me, because where he's at mentally is completely different than the father that I grew up with. And so I learned that I had to let that go, that I would never get the answers that I needed to get from him because he doesn't have them. He did what he did, and we have to start to allow people to do what they do and accept them for who they are, who they show us to be, until they choose to change or not. So, like I said, the first episode, I tackled that. So I found out who I was. And we're talking about past tense because it's not you right now. You should not be the same person that you were growing up. You should not be the same person that you were last month or the same person you were a year ago. You shouldn't. And if you are, you need to fix something, because it means you're not growing. You're not perfect. So how could you possibly sit and be the same person that you were previously? That's strange. So who were you? I also, in episode 11, I sat and spoke with my mother, and I told her the parts of her that I admired and the parts of her that I had to unlearn. And ironically, the parts of her that I admired and the person I had to unlearn is it was the same thing, and it was independence. I told my mother that the greatest thing she taught me was my independence, and the worst thing that she unconsciously taught me was how to be too independent. And I'm unlearning it. My flaws of yesterday, and yesterday's in everything past tense, was just that, trying to do everything by myself, trying to prove myself to whoever I felt like I needed to prove myself to, even a stranger. And I have a story about that revelation of how bad I went with trying to prove myself or teach people lessons that I may have learned, that I try to teach strangers. And it's like, it's kind of sick. It's kind of crazy. But that was a part of me. It was a part of me, and it was a good part of me, and also it was a bad part of me. Some of us don't really realize that the best parts of us that we think also have a very negative part, and that's where balance comes into play. We have to find balance in every aspect of us, every relationship in our lives, everything. You have to have balance, because imbalance is really a thing. Like we're experiencing right now in this world. I'm looking outside and it's July and it's raining. Our world, our ecosystem is imbalanced. Our water is imbalanced. Everything is imbalanced right now, and we're trying to figure out. We're in a pandemic still. We're fighting this illness. We're fighting a lot of things because we are imbalanced, and that's because a lot of people, humans, we haven't taken the time to sit and really dissect ourselves and our actions, because even though actions are individual, they eventually become collective. So the next question is, who have you become? Who have I become? And the only way we become is by being and doing. So like I just said, our actions. What have we done to get us to our current state right now? Our current being right now. What have we done? We're imbalanced. And I've been fortunate enough to start to work on my imbalances. And the flaws, even the flaws of me working on, who I am right now, is a lot of solitude. Solitude is beautiful, but also I've had a lot of solitude. And me as a person, as I've grown to realize that me being in so much solitude, I pacify myself in ways that I didn't really realize I was pacifying myself, because I'm so comfortable with myself. And it took some time. A lot of people aren't comfortable with themselves, so they never are in solitude. They're always searching for someone else to validate their existence, someone else to share their existence with, and they never are comfortable being alone. That's a problem. But like I said, there's also a problem with me being so comfortable with being alone, so comfortable with being like just quiet to myself. I have to find the balance. I cannot just be by myself and just want that. Like I have to be social in order to grow, because our relationships with other people and our experiences with other people is what really shows us ourselves. You see? Because we are able to act, and through our actions, we expose or display ourselves, our thoughts, our mentality, our emotions, our sense of intelligence, our logic. We display all those things through our actions. Now, this took me, I'm 25, about to be 26 in a month and change. And it has taken me this year to really, really sit with that and realize that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people, even our parents, they don't even realize that simple truth. They don't. And so I appreciate you guys for like being here and tapping in and like listening and us growing together. I don't have all the answers, but I'm searching for them, and I'm reporting back my experiences. That's all I can do, is report back my experiences and go through these exercises with you who choose to listen. The other way, I'm gonna do it, and I'll just be the living proof. So who have you become? Who are you currently? And like I said, you have to learn that through sitting with yourself, but also sitting and experiencing with others. And then the next question is, who am I with others? It's one thing to be, super happy with yourself and, cool, whatever. And then you go out in public and you put on a mask and you put on this like tougher exterior. Like, I'm really happy, but no one's gonna play me because you built some type of defense mechanism over time through your experiences that you still haven't sorted through. Put this on and you're tougher than you really are with other people, or it's the opposite. You're really, really tough and mean, and you put on this face and you try to be friendly and false, and you're just acting. Who are you with others? Who are you with others? And aside from the possible disguises and the acting and whatever, that question goes deeper than that. It's, who am I with others? What parts of me am I allowing to show? What parts of me are vulnerable? What parts of me am I private about? What parts of me are am I allowing to show with others? Am I allowing people to fully experience me, or am I not? And there's no right or wrong answer to that. I do believe being vulnerable, knowing when to be vulnerable, is truly a thing. Like, I've learned to be vulnerable through this platform that I've created, my podcast. I've told stories that, I've never told in passing in conversations with some people, because I don't know, like, I've evolved to being like more vulnerable form of Quay. Big body Quay. But who are you with others? And we'll dive deeper into that, because this episode is about self and others. I have grown to know and realize that most of my growth as a human, and I'm sure a lot of other humans are like this, a lot, but I'm just going to speak on my personal experiences. Most of my growth has been through intimate relationships, majority, and then obviously some with my platonic relationships. Really fucking interesting. It's really interesting. And that's because my relationships with the opposite sex have allowed me to see me in the ways that I probably wouldn't have allowed myself to see me, or was in denial about, or just didn't allow. My relationships have been mirrors of myself. And I've learned some of the biggest lessons that I've had through those relationships. Whether serious or short term, I've learned the most about myself, and I've grown the most, honestly, after each of those relationships. Because personally, I'm just gonna be blunt. I could care less what someone has to say about me that I do not love or care about. And so when I say love or care, that obviously means like family members, just my loved ones, and then significant others. I literally don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about other people's opinion about me, like strangers, really. Unless it strikes a chord, or like I said, unless I care or love that person, like, it does nothing to me or for me. And sometimes it's scary, like I said, sometimes that can be scary, but that's who I am. Like, sometimes I don't emote, and I'm a very emotional person. Like, I suppress things, so I could be in front of someone, I could be feeling some type of way, or like, I don't know, but I've tried my hardest to keep composure. Like, I could be fucking cold, but when I'm in a conversation with like my sister, or like one of my best friends, or my mom, or if someone's giving me constructive criticism that I actually care about, oh, I'm feeling that, and I'm like, oh my god, you really felt this way, oh my god. And I'm sitting with that shit for days and days, and I'm like, okay, how can I fix this? Like, what I gotta do? Because I feel. Don't get me wrong, like, I do care about people because naturally I'm an empath. Like, I feel everything people are feeling, but I always approach things with a very unbiased outlook. I'm one of the most unbiased people you want you and me. Like, I kind of play devil's advocate a lot. I don't really want to say devil's advocate, but I like to play both sides. So if I'm having a conversation, I know someone's super passionate about the other side, and I very much may agree, and I'll tell them, like, I agree with that. But, like, what about this side? Because that's just how I think. I think about all the other possibilities or ways or things. And it's not the best thing. Like I said, balance. I'm still finding balance with the way I think and how I approach situations, because I want to be better. I want to be even greater. Like I said, one of my things is overthinking things. I'm imbalanced when it comes to thoughts. I'm learning it better, especially because of the Happy Pocket Full of Money. This book is not just about money. It's about being wealthy, having abundance and having joy. And wealth isn't just a materialistic value. Wealth is everything. Wealth is literally abundance and joy within all aspects of your life. And so, in addition to that book, it's teaching me how to be and how to be present and be in the now. And I've read many, many books, and just even with religion, we are taught to be present and to trust in God and to be certain, but you got to hear things in different ways in order for it to really saturate. That's the type of student I am. And that's also another key word, student. A lot of people are afraid to be students, and it's really wicked to me. Like, why do you think you know everything? And I've gotten the title of being someone who thinks she knows everything. This is something I've learned, like, in my relationships. I've known this since I was able to talk. My mother used to tell me that all the time. You think you know everything, you think you know everything. And it's just like, part of me seen it as that person's insecurity of their lack of knowledge. And then the other part of me, after hearing it for a lot of times from, different people, and it wasn't never really in a negative way, just like a statement. It's a true one. I think I know a lot because I wouldn't be talking about something if I didn't know it, if I didn't do some research on it, and if I wasn't sure about it. A lot of people can't say that. People be pressing a hard line for shit they know 2 cents about. So, yes, I am one who is passionate about what I preach, and it may come off to some as thinking I know everything. With that simple thing, I had to learn, okay, Quay, so you're passionate about what you know, and most of the time you be knowing what you're talking about. How can I change my delivery so that I'm not coming off as a know-it-all and turning people off who may need the knowledge that I'm giving? They may be turned off because they don't want to hear it the way that I'm giving, and so I had to learn, like, my delivery. And as I was saying earlier, when we were dissecting affirmation, there was a time where I had my sister and someone that I was dating at that time. So these are 2 people one person that I love, my sister, and another person I care about. We're coming from an event. We're at a pizza shop, and there's like this drunk girl, and we're kind of looking. I'm just like, oh, I'm just dissecting the situation. And then she says something. I can't honestly remember how irrelevant it is, but I had to learn the relevancy of things over time so that I can learn not to dwell or think too hard on things that don't even need my energy. However, in that moment, it's like 2017, she was a little belligerent, she was talking, and she said something to me, and then I found myself like correcting her and trying to teach her, and it was like so pointless because here I am sober, and here is this drunk girl who's not even gonna remember the thing that I just told her, and I'm over here kind of pushing a hard line about it. And my like sister and like the guy was just like, yo, what? Come on, like, what are you even trying to prove? Like, I'm like, gosh, she needs to know. I can't leave her like thinking that way. And it's like, that's not for you to do. You don't have to do that with everyone. And it was just like, yeah, it's like, why not? Y'all don't care about people's greater good. And it's like, yes, but there's a time and place for everything, and there's a way to do it, and this way is not the way. And so I had these 2 people like telling me that. Now, if a stranger would tell me, like, shut the fuck up, like, but I had these 2 people that I actually care about telling me about a part of me that has shown itself throughout many relationships and encounters and experiences in life. And it took that for me to really like, okay, Quay, let's start to work on this. It's gonna take some time, but it's time to work on it. And I think that's one of the biggest, lessons that I've learned in this past 3 years is just, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone, and you don't always have to teach someone who doesn't want to be taught or who hasn't the capacity to be taught. That's a lot. But yeah, understanding who you are, I find is also really important before you get into a relationship, because you need to know how you come into this relationship, and then you need to dissect that other person in order to see if you're compatible and if that person is worth learning from. Because like I said, you always want to learn. You always want to be a student. I'm always going to be a student. Even if I don't directly show someone that I'm like learning from them by saying, yes, I'm learning, I'm learning. No matter what people say to me, like I said, the people that I really care about or that I find to be an influence, when they tell me something, I will take it in like this, and then maybe later I'm just like, okay, so this person just told me that, and like, how can I, I'm gonna dissect it, and I'm gonna work on it, and I'm gonna apply it where necessary in my life when applicable. Selfful. I'm so selfful right now that it feels really amazing. Like, I'm giving myself so much gratitude. I'm giving myself so much love and so much time to like evolve and transform and be myself, and knowing that I still have a long ways to go, but I'm actively working on myself every day. And I believe it shows. I'm working on myself. I stopped hiding from myself. I just stopped trying to dictate myself, if that makes sense. I've allowed myself to just flow and like really go through it, especially this experience, because we're in this current experience. Who have we become? I have really been sitting with that and figuring it out and allowing it to be. Allowing it to be. Some of us go through life and we feel some type of way about something or about ourselves, or we really want to do something, and we push it to the back of our mind sometimes unconsciously, and we don't allow ourselves to be what we feel. We're going against what's naturally coming to us, and we find ourselves along the road, in the same place, or feeling at unease, feeling unsettled for whatever reason. Sometimes like, what is it? I have my money in order, I have this relationship or whatever, and we forget that there's something that I've been negating or pushing away that wants to come out of me or come into me, and that's usually the solution to that problem of that unsettled, uneased feeling, is we don't allow ourselves to be. Capital B-E. Being, a state. Be present, be you, be vulnerable, be open, be objective, be passionate, be balanced, be. I need to hear that for myself. I need to hear that one for myself. Whew. Yeah. I'm feeling good, and I hope you guys are feeling good out there too. I hope you guys are really like learning and loving yourselves during this time. And that some of us who are, those who are in a relationship, I'm in a relationship, but I'm not in a relationship, I'm not in a committed relationship right now. And I used to think like I needed, because like I said, I recognize that I grow the most in relationships because I'm able to see myself mirrored through the right partner. Not every person that I've been in a relationship with has taught me things about myself, has mirrored me. They taught me things about myself, because like, girl, you allowing this, you kind of weak. And I'm like, let's pull ourselves out of there, So every encounter, experience, it teaches me something. But like I said, the most things I learned about self, aside from my self-reflection, is in those relationships, those good ones. And obviously those have been seasonal, but doesn't mean they weren't impactful. But in my current relation, even in the past month, I've learned a lot about myself. I learned how defensive I still am. And I'm learning how to break down that defense. And I learned it from my mom. It comes with that independence of like not really. I never see my mom allow a man to take care of her, or she never put herself in a position to be taken care of, the way she deserved to as a queen. And I always felt like I had to work hard. I always felt like I have to give in order for me to receive in a way. And I know that's true, but I'm saying like even within a relationship, give more in order to receive something. And it's so unhealthy, and I'm glad I'm unlearning it, and I'm glad I am at the mental capacity to have these conversations and to look back and realize things for what they were. What they were. We kind of created some type of illusion or a weird utopia in our heads of some of our childhoods. And it's just like, I realized some of the negative things, I kind of desensitized myself to it, and I only filtered in mainly the good things. And it's just like, no, Quay, you have to learn from the negative things. What were the negative things? Identify them, figure them out, and dissect, unlearn, and re-teach yourself. Because you teach yourselves. When you're a student, you choose to absorb the knowledge that you absorb. You're being taught by someone who has an experience, and not just educational student, just a student of life, student of experiences, student to whoever you encounter. You learn. I've learned from homeless people. I've learned from complete strangers. I've seen myself. I've been told myself through encounters with a couple strangers. If you ever listened to that past episode where I said a stranger told me that I was in so much pain. He seen me, met me for 15 minutes, and he told me, "You're in pain. I can see it in your eyes. You can choose to pack it up and leave it on the side of the road, or carry it with you." That was a stranger. Like I said, I don't get too affected by the words of like strangers unless I just feel like they have some type of influence. And unless they have an influence, like let's zoom in on that, because a lot of people out there are impacted by strangers who they feel have a false influence on their lives, but have no direct correlation to your experience or like your situation. And you guys sit there and compare yourselves to these people and think that they are your influencers or your influence, and it's just like, that ain't the way. But you do you until you figure out what you're doing wrong. Yeah, so that encounter, taught me a lot. And I was in a relation during that time, a relationship, and I had to wean myself from it, because if a stranger can see my pain, the disguise isn't working, and it's eating me up behind the mask. So I had to learn. I needed this. I haven't really been able to vocalize what I've learned in this past 4 months in this way, as about self. Obviously, throughout the podcast, every week I'm expressing what I've learned and what we need to learn. But this part of me is like, it's big. It's a big step. It's a big step. Like I said, I'm a pretty emotional person, and even with my emotions, I don't really know how to show it with some people. And I feel like it has affected some relationships in my life, and not just intimate, even maybe some platonic, but it's affected because some people can't read me. And I like it, but if you think about it, you do need some people to read you, because you want some people to be able to act in your favor on their own, not just when they're with you. Act in your favor on their own, not just when they're with you. Because You just never know what type of situation those people are in that can possibly mention you or think of you or place you when you're not there. And so if you understand, if you're following me, you could be blocking some of your blessings, some doors from being open, just next levels in your life by not being, vulnerable or yourself with certain people who may have the ability to, like I said, take you to places that you can't take yourself. It's major. So at the end of the day, the biggest gift you can give yourself is truly learning yourself and evolving with yourself and understanding that you are not perfect and you are flawed yesterday. You were really flawed yesterday, but today you have the active chance or ability to make yourself better today. And it's not going to happen overnight and snap of a finger, but it'll happen if you allow it. And this is the first step to designing your future, designing your lives, because it starts with you. If you're going to be the author or the painter of this canvas, how you looking? What is that reflection in the mirror looking like? So let's get it right. And remember the exercise that we had last week. I'm still going to apply it to this episode because I still have to add to these goals. I have about 25, I think, but I need to get to that minimum 100. Remember, we're doing 100 to 5,000 goals that we want to accomplish, that we desire, or want to experience in the next 30 years. We're writing down 100 to 5,000 of these goals. Small, medium, ambitious, whatever they are, write them down and let's speak it into existence. Like I said, my mentality right now is I am a millionaire turned billionaire. I'm already a millionaire. I am incredibly wealthy. I am full of abundance, and I am basking in joy. I feel this for me. I feel it. I feel it, and no one can tell me different. No one can make me believe different, because if we're being honest, what are some of the sayings that we always say? It's already written. It is so. I trust in God and what He's doing for me and what He has waiting for me. And I will do the work to get there quicker than I previously allowed myself to be. Get it? It's done, but you have to have the proper energy to go match it and take it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm about to take this. I already took it, because look at it's already there. I'm already a millionaire. I'm a mogul. I'm a best-selling author. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm a motivational speaker. I am one of the greatest versions of myself today, because I choose to be, and I'm certain of it. And I hope you guys can adopt this mentality and not think of it as crazy or, being unrealistic. Because if you do think that, then you'll never get that, because you're not allowing that to be your reality. However, over here, we applying all this where necessary, and it is so. Quickly before we wrap up, I found myself really tapped in with the hood healer. Now, we were kind of raised, I was raised to think psychics and readers were kind of demonic or whatever. But I always had this little thing in me that was but really, is that so? How? These people still pray to God, and obviously there's satanic type people out there. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The hood healer, tap in with her. The Astro Bay Ghetto Lux, the hood healer. She made some predictions about summer 2020, and I want you to go tap in and get this information directly from her. But one of the biggest things I've taken away from it was, she said, stay out the water. So if I feel that there's something there based on all of these articles and stories that are coming up. Literally, before I press play on this, press record on this podcast, I went to Instagram because I was trying to remember what my affirmation was. And the first thing was people sitting on the beach I feel like it was somewhere in California, I can't remember. They were sitting on the beach, regular beach day, and the waves just was so big, it just started washing people, like it just came. People weren't expecting it. And typically you don't get those type of big waves during the day. The waves, as we know, occur overnight after the sun has set. Yo, these waves are huge, and it was literally, you got little kids and babies like just building sandcastles and people just lounging, and this big ass wave just comes. That's wicked. Not wicked, but that's showing like the imbalance that's going on in this world, in our ecosystem, in the water. There was another story of, there's an eagle carrying a shark along the beach. Like the eagle then swooped up and grabbed. How? What? Over here in New York, Hudson River, these are all current events, y'all, within the last 2 weeks, leading up to today. Hudson River had a big, I don't know what you call it, washover of nursery. I think they're called manada fishes. Don't quote me on that. But a gray fish that's really like an oily fish. They usually use it for our fish oil capsules. There were thousands of them that appeared floating at the top of the water and on the shore, dead last week. There's an imbalance in the ocean that has the oxygen levels really low for that particular situation, and it caused these nursery fish to die. There's some wicked things going on that we don't know of. There's just, the earth is already, the ocean is already just a place that we haven't really discovered and known not much about, because we as humans aren't really supposed to be down under there, because we cannot breathe, that it doesn't have the oxygen that we need down there either. So if the oxygen is decreasing for the fish, what's that tell you about a human? If the fishes is dying, why do you gonna get in the water and try to fight nature? It's not gonna work. Stay out the water. She said it, and she keeps saying it, and now there's mad articles, and I believe it. So I'm gonna regurgitate that piece of information to you so that you know, get your ass out the water. She said pools are okay, because I'm going to LA next week, and we were about to get on a boat, and now I'm like, nope. Let's think of something else, baby, because I ain't gonna be the one that's tested that day and have to, have a story written about me. So stay out the water. Check out the Hood Healer. She does, readings and predictions if you're into astrology and horoscopes and just the universe and God, because she very much so believes in God, and says she's doing his work, and I believe it. And she only says what she feels and gets, and she allows God to reveal the rest, and that's what she's doing with this stay out of the water thing. She can't say like reasons why, because she don't know. She just happens to be in tune where she's able to transcend these messages, and so I believe it. I'm gonna stay out the water. I hope you stay out the water. Go check her out, and remember to continue to support Black businesses. Continue to support Black businesses and create Black businesses. If there's a lack of something, if you feel like you can't buy something from somewhere because or you don't have the quality, let's get into that mindset and the habit of being creators and solution oriented. Let's do it. I have some products and things that I have in the works that I want to do, and I don't think anyone is exempt from selling a product or providing a service. If you are good at it, or if you have good quality item and you're going to put your all into it and not just looking at it as a new paycheck, you're looking at it as money and a way to provide something for our community, then go out and do it. You don't need 1,000, a million, a trillion followers to do it. You just need to be sure of it, passionate of it, and have a plan in place to properly do it, and also a team if you are fortunate enough, or even just manifest that team. Do it yourself until you're able to do it with others. But let's put it in. Also, there's a lot of, I think it's called a shoo-shoo. I have two requests from people saying that they put 500 down in that. It's like basically the Asians did it, I think West Indian people did it, Caribbean people, they do it, and it's like you get a group of people and you all put like the same amount of money, into like a bank, but not like a Bank of America, like whatever, a communal little pot. Or there's another way you do it. Instead of having someone hold the money, on that day where someone is supposed to receive it's their turn to receive and create their business or do whatever they need to do with that expense, you all send it to that person, and then, you know, I think the next week or whatever, you know, it's sowed again, and it's like everyone gets a chance to have a big lump sum of money by contributing a small portion. And that is ways that we can build more businesses in our communities. And I've been approached 2 times with it, and I'm going to do it for sure. I just have a couple of expenses that I need to handle. But I think this is a really dope way. So if you've never heard of it, look it up. I'm not saying that word. I think it's shoo-shoo. Look it up and maybe start one with your friends or your family, and let's get this money, and let's get this recognition, and let's bring wealth to our generations to come. I love you. Make sure you write down your goals, and let's design our lives, design our future to be the greatest one yet. We still have time. This world is in balance, but make sure you get into balance so that we all can collectively put our energies together and fix this, and allow nature to do its thing, but like fix us so that we're not further disrupting her, because it's not what God wants. And God is showing us that he's not pleased. Listen, be you, do you, and most of all, just be. Love you until next Wednesday.